The Northrop Grumman EA-6B Prowler is a twin-engine, mid-wing electronic warfare aircraft derived from the A-6 Intruder airframe. The EA-6A was the initial electronic warfare version of the A-6 used by the United States Marine Corps in the 1960s. Development on the more advanced EA-6B began in 1966. An EA-6B aircrew consists of one pilot and 3 electronic countermeasures officers, though it is not uncommon for only 2 ECMOs to be used on missions. It is capable of carrying and firing anti-radiation missiles, such as the AGM-88 HARM missile. Prowler has been in service with the U.S. Armed Forces since 1971. It has carried out numerous missions for jamming enemy radar systems, and in gathering radio intelligence on those and other enemy air defense systems. From the 1998 retirement of the United States Air Force EF-111 Raven electronic warfare aircraft, the EA-6B was the only dedicated electronic warfare plane available for missions by the United States Navy, the United States Marine Corps, and the United States Air Force until the fielding of the Navy's EA-18G Growler in 2009. Development, origins. The EA-6A Electric Intruder was developed for the U.S. Marine Corps during the 1960s to replace its EF-10B Skunk Knights. The EA-6A was a direct conversion of the standard A-6 Intruder airframe, with 2 seats, equipped with electronic warfare equipment. The EA-6A was used by 3 Marine Corps squadrons during the war in Vietnam. A total of 27 EA-6s were produced, with 15 of these being newly manufactured ones. Most of these EA-6s were retired from service in the 1970s, with the last few being used by the Navy with 2 electronic attack aggressor squadrons, with all examples finally retired in the 1990s. The EA-6A was essentially an interim warplane until the more advanced EA-6B could be designed and built. The substantially redesigned and more advanced EA-6B was developed beginning in 1966 as a replacement for EKA-3B Sky Warriors for the U.S. Navy. The forward fuselage was lengthened to create a rear area for a larger 4-seat cockpit, and an antenna fairing was added to the tip of its vertical stabilizer. Grumman was awarded a $12.7 million contract to develop an EA-6B prototype on November 14, 1966. The Prowler first flew on May 25, 1968, and it entered service on aircraft carriers in July 1971. 3 prototype EA-6Bs were converted from A-6s, and 5 EA-6Bs were developmental airplanes. A total of 170 EA-6B production aircraft were manufactured from 1966 through 1991. The EA-6B Prowler is powered by 2 turbojet engines, and it is capable of high subsonic speeds. Due to its extensive electronic warfare operations, and the aircraft's age, the EA-6B is a high-maintenance aircraft, and it also has undergone more frequent equipment upgrades than any other aircraft in the Navy or Marine Corps. Although designed as an electronic warfare and command and control aircraft for airstrike missions, the EA-6B is also capable of attacking some surface targets on its own, in particular enemy radar sites and surface-to-air missile launchers. In addition, the EA-6B is capable of gathering electronic signals intelligence. The EA-6B Prowler has been continually upgraded over the years. The first of which was named Expanded Capability beginning in 1973. Then came Improved Capability in 1976 and ICAP-2 in 1980. The ICAP-2 upgrade provided the EA-6B with the capability of firing Shrike missiles and AGM-88 HARM missiles. Advanced Capability EA-6B. The Advanced Capability EA-6B Prowler was a development program initiated to improve the flying qualities of the EA-6B and to upgrade the avionics and electronic warfare systems. The intention was to modify all EA-6Bs into the ADV-CAP configuration. However, the program was removed from the fiscal year 1995 budget due to financial pressure from competing Department of Defense acquisition programs. The ADV-CAP development program was initiated in the late 1980s and was broken into 3 distinct phases: full-scale development, vehicle enhancement program and the avionics improvement program. FSD served primarily to evaluate the new ANALQ-149 electronic warfare system. The program utilized a slightly modified EA-6B to house the new system. The VEP added numerous changes to the aircraft to address deficiencies with the original EA-6B flying qualities, particularly lateral directional problems that hampered recovery from out-of-control flight. Bureau number 158542 was used. Changes included, leading-edge strakes, fin pod extension, ailerons, recontoured leading-edge slats and trailing-edge flaps, 2 additional wing stations on the outer wing panel, new J52P409 engines per engine, new digital standard automatic flight control system. The added modifications increased the aircraft gross weight approximately 2,000 lb and shifted the center of gravity 3% Mach aft of the baseline EA-6B. In previous models, when operating at sustained high angles of attack, fuel migration would cause additional shifts in CG with the result that the aircraft had slightly negative longitudinal static stability. Results of flight tests of the new configuration showed greatly improved flying qualities and the rearward shift of the CG had minimal impact. The AIP prototype represented the final ADV-CAP configuration, incorporating all of the FSD and VEP modifications plus a completely new avionics suite which added multi-function displays to all crew positions, a head-up display for the pilot, and dual global positioning inertial navigation systems. The initial joint test phase between the contractor and the U.S. Navy test pilots completed successfully with few deficiencies. After the program was cancelled, the 3 experimental Prowlers, BUNO 156482, 158542 and 158547, were mothballed until 1999. During the next several years, the 3 aircraft were dismantled and reassembled creating a single aircraft, BN 158542, which the Navy dubbed Franken Prowler. It was returned to active service March 23, 2005. Improved capability. Northrop Grumman received contracts from the U.S. Navy to deliver new electronic countermeasures gear to Prowler squadrons. The heart of each ICAP-3 set consists of the ALQ-218 receiver and new software that provides more precise selective reactive radar jamming and deception and threat location. The ICAP-3 sets also are equipped with a multifunction information distribution system, which includes the Link 16 data link system. Northrop has delivered 2 lots and will be delivering 2 more beginning in 2010. The majority of EA-6B Prowlers in service today are the ICAP-2 version, carrying the ALQ-99 tactical jamming system. Design. Designed for carrier-based and advanced base operations, the EA-6B is a fully integrated electronic warfare system combining long-range, all-weather capabilities with advanced electronic countermeasures. A forward equipment bay and pod-shaped fairing on the vertical fin house the additional avionics equipment. It is now the primary electronic warfare aircraft for the U.S. Navy, U.S. Marine Corps, and U.S. Air Force. The primary mission of the EA-6B is to support ground attack strikes by disrupting enemy electromagnetic activity. As a secondary mission it can also gather tactical electronic intelligence within a combat zone, and another secondary mission is attacking enemy radar sites with anti-radiation missiles. The Prowler has a crew of 4, a pilot and 3 electronic countermeasures officers. Powered by 2 non-afterburning Pratt & Whitney J52P408A turbojet engines, it is capable of speeds of up to 590 mph with a range of 1,140 miles. Design particulars include the refueling probe being asymmetrical, appearing bent to the right. It contains an antenna near its root. The canopy has a shading of gold to protect the crew against the radio emissions that the electronic warfare equipment produces. Operational history. The EA-6B entered service with Fleet Replacement Squadron VAQ-129 in September 1970, and Tactical Electronic Warfare Squadron 132 became the first operational squadron, in July 1971. This squadron began its first combat deployment to Vietnam on America 11 months later, soon followed by VAQ-131 on Enterprise and VAQ-134 on Constellation. 2 squadrons of EA-6B Prowlers flew 720 sorties during the Vietnam War in support of U.S. Navy attack aircraft and USAF B-52 bombers. During the 1983 invasion of Grenada, 4 Prowlers supported the operation from USA Independence CV-62. Following the Achille Lauro hijacking, on October 10, 1985, Prowlers from USA Saratoga, CV-60, provided ESM support during the interception of the Egypt Air 737 carrying 4 of the hijackers. Prowlers jammed Libyan radar during Operation El Dorado Canyon in April 1986. Prowlers from USA Enterprise, CVN-65, jammed Iranian ground control intercept radars, surface-to-air missile guidance radars and communication systems during Operation Praying Mantis on April 18, 1988. 39 EA-6B Prowlers were involved in Operation Desert Storm, 27 from 6 aircraft carriers and 12 from USMC bases. During 4,600 flight hours, Prowlers fired over 150 HARM missiles. Navy Prowlers flew 1,132 sorties and USMC flew 516 with no losses. With the retirement of the EF-111 Raven in 1998, the EA-6B was the only dedicated aerial radar jammer aircraft of the U.S. Armed Forces, until the fielding of the Navy's EA-18G Growler in 2009. The EA-6B has been flown in almost all American combat operations since 1972, and is frequently flown in support of the U.S. Air Force missions. 124 Prowlers remained in 2001, divided between 12 Navy, 4 Marine, and 4 Joint Navy-Air Force Expeditionary Squadrons. A Joint Chiefs of Staff study recommended that the EF-111 Raven be retired to reduce the types of aircraft dedicated to the same mission, which led to an Office of the Secretary of Defense program memorandum to establish 4 land-based expeditionary Prowler squadrons to meet the needs of the Air Force. Though once considered being replaced by common support aircraft, that plan failed to materialize. The EA-6B remains in active service today. In 2009, the Navy EA-6B Prowler community began transitioning to the EA-18G Growler, a new electronic warfare derivative of the FA-18F Super Hornet. All but one of the active-duty Navy EA-6B squadrons are based at Naval Air Station Whidbey Island. VAQ-136 is stationed at Naval Air Facility Atsugi, Japan, as part of Carrier Air Wing 5, the forward-deployed Naval Forces Air Wing that embarks aboard the Japan-based George Washington. VAQ-209, the Navy Reserve sole EA-6B squadron, was stationed at Naval Air Facility Washington, Maryland. All Marine Corps EA-6B squadrons are located at Marine Corps Air Station Cherry Point, North Carolina. The USN plans to fly the EA-6B until 2015, while the USMC expect to phase out the Prowler in 2019. The last Navy deployment was on George H.W. Bush 2014, with VAQ-134. Operations in Afghanistan and Iraq. According to news reports in 2007, the Prowler has been used in anti-improvised explosive device operations in the conflict in Afghanistan for several years by jamming remote detonation devices such as garage door openers or cellular telephones. 2 Prowler squadrons were also based in Iraq, working with the same mission. According to Chuck Arrow in his book SEAL Target Geronimo, an EA-6B was also used to jam Pakistani radar and assist the 2 MH-60 Black Hawk stealth helicopters and 2 Chinook helicopters raiding Osama bin Laden's compound in Operation Neptune Spear. The Department of Defense disputed certain aspects of his book, though not specifically the mention of EA-6B involvement. Operators. The EA-6B Prowler is operated by the U.S. Armed Forces, and has squadrons in both the U.S. Marine Corps and Navy. USMC squadrons, VMAQ squadrons operate the EA-6B Prowler. Each of the 4 squadrons operates 5 aircraft and are land-based, although they are capable of operating aboard U.S. Navy aircraft carriers and have done so in the past. In 2013, VMAQ-1 converted from an active to a training squadron as the USN stopped training on the Prowler and switched over to the Growler. The Marine Training Squadron first received students for training in October 2013 and produced its first training flights in April 2014. In 2008, the USMC was investigating an electronic attack role for the Lockheed Martin F-35 Lightning II to replace their Prowlers. USN squadrons. A typical tactical electronic warfare squadron consists of 4 EA-6B Prowlers. Navy electronic attack squadrons carry the letters VAQ. Most VAQ squadrons are carrier-based, however a number are expeditionary, deploying to overseas land bases. Notable accidents. While no Prowler has ever been lost in combat, nearly 50 of the 170 built were destroyed in various accidents as of 2013. In 1998, a memorial at Naval Air Station Whidbey Island was dedicated to 44 crew members lost in EA-6B aircraft accidents. On May 26, 1981, a USMC EA-6B crashed onto the flight deck of Nimitz and caused a fire, killing 14 crewmen and injuring 45 others. The Prowler was running out of fuel after a missed approach, and its crash and the subsequent fire and explosions destroyed or damaged 11 other aircraft. A USMC EA-6B Prowler, BU 163045, from VMAQ-2 caused the Cavaliers cable car disaster on February 3, 1998, accidentally cutting the cables of a cableway in Italy during a low-level flight in mountainous terrain, killing 20 persons. On November 10, 1998, a USN EA-6B landed on a Lockheed S-3 Viking during night landing qualifications on Enterprise. 4 crew members were killed. On March 11, 2013, a VAQ-129 EA-6B crashed in eastern Washington, killing all 3 crew members on board. An investigation determined the cause to be pilot error. Specifications. Data from U.S. Navy Fact File, U.S. Navy History page. General characteristics: crew, 4, length, 59 feet 10 inches, wingspan, 53 feet, height, 16 feet 8 in, wing area, 528.9 FTA squared, empty weight, 31,160 pounds, max takeoff weight, 61,500 pounds, power plant, TUA, Pratt & Whitney J52P408A turbojet, 10,400 pound-forces each. Performance: maximum speed, 566 knots, cruise speed, 418 carats, range, 2,022 miles/ 2,400 miles, service ceiling, 37,600 feet, rate of climb, 12,900 feet per minute, wing loading, 116 pounds FTA squared, thrust weight, 0.34, armament, hardpoints, 5 total, 1 centerline under fuselage plus 4 underwing pylon stations with a capacity of 18,000 pounds and provisions to carry combinations of missiles up to 4 AGM-88 HARM anti-radiation missiles, other, up to 5 300 US gallons external drop tanks, up to 5 ANALQ-99 tactical jamming system external pods, ANAL-43, B, 1 and 4 bulk chaff dispensing system pod, ANAAQ-28, B, Lieutenant targeting pod. Avionics, ANALQ-218 tactical jamming system receiver, ANUSQ-113 communications jamming system, see also. Related development, Grumman A-6 Intruder, aircraft of comparable role, configuration and era. General Dynamics Grumman EF-111A Raven, Boeing EA-18G Growler, related lists, list of active military aircraft of the United States, references, notes. Bibliography. External links, EA-6B Prowler Fact File and EA-6B History on Navy.mil, EA-6B Prowler on globalsecurity.org, EA-6B Gondola Mishap, Cavaliers, Italy, February 3, 1998. Aviation Safety Consulting Services.